2, 1. Yeah, go put that tail on and go shimmy at the Hilton. Yes. But again, I am susceptible to mental illness, so, let your freak flags fly, mama. My experience with it was positive. I'm really sorry for the amount of people who had to deal with, like, the eating disorder. That was weird. It didn't record the first time. Hey. I looked back on the footage from the other one I uploaded, which, by the way, was yesterday for me, because I'm going to try and pre-record, because that way my brain is like, you can actually do something, and you just press upload. Very harsh on breathing and tone. Hopefully it doesn't sound too crazy. I know I've touched on this before, like in other ones. I've talked about like fan culture, like my experience with fan culture, the way I think it's consumed now. I figured it would be a good time to have one solely dedicated to that, because that's my cat moving this. I default to it so much because it really is who I am, because it's quite literally the reason I'm doing this even, and why I go about my life the way I do, because of fan culture. And it does involve like the fanfics, like the fangirls, whatever, and that shit, but I feel like it's so okay, in my perspective, it's fun because I have partaken in it. However, I do understand that there's again nuance. There is nuance to quite literally everything. Everything. There's a nuance to everything. So where I find joy in something, someone could find literal hell, and that's what we're going to talk about, because I think it's so interesting. And it's not interesting for the people who have to deal with it, but that's my point, because if I have notes. I mean, I think a good segue into this, because it's kind of, so parasocialism is a term I only learned recently. I think a lot of people learned recently because of a certain man on the internet. And you know what? I never actually did watch that video where he's like, "I'm not your friend." I never actually watched that video because when it came out, I was like 16, and I've grown since. Now I see Ludwig, he who shall not be named will be named. I see Ludwig and I go, "Hey man." Yeah. He posted a video back then, and this was like 2020, like pandemic. People were literally inside losing their fucking mind, including me. And they would see people on Twitch, they'd see people on YouTube and be like, "Oh, I like this personality and I want it." And I'm going to steal it. Thus birthed the term parasocialism. I'm kidding. I know that's not where it came from. Whatever. If you don't know what parasocialism is, it's literally looking at someone being like, "I know you and I'm your friend." Even though you don't know anything about them personally. It's just the experience of them on the internet. You want to be their friend, whatever. That combined with social media is so crazy, because I feel like back then, like let's rewind to like fangirls. Did Shakespeare have fangirls? Probably. He probably had some people wanting something. I'm sure he had some fans who were like, hey, Romeo and Juliet, let's be friends. I'm sure he had some people, because I would have been one of them, if we're being honest. But I think like the Beatles was probably like the first hint of like mania, like craze of like, but again, I think there's a stark difference between that and like parasocialism. That could have been a thing back then too. I do believe so, obviously, but it's so different with social media now. You know what I mean? Back then, bitches were stalking. Back then, bitches were showing up literally outside of their house and getting invited in for dinner. And that's a thing that happened with one of the Beatles members. Look it up. It's crazy. I think it was with the Beatles. I don't know. It had to have been, because they were insane. But they were going crazy, and it kind of was with One Direction too. Like, people were crazy. They were hacking into security cameras. Like, they were doing their thing. And I still remember being on Twitter when that happened and seeing the footage and going, whoa. I think that was the moment I had like a realization of like, okay, okay, we might have to take a step back, guys, just a little bit. But fan culture will transcend, as it does, because COVID happened, everyone was stuck inside, and then you have these, I'm really gonna show face here, Minecraft YouTubers and streamers, oh god. But it's no secret, if you have watched anything of me, I don't know if I talked about it on here, I think I have. If on Twitch it has been a consistent thing, sorry for lighting change, I'm using natural light because I don't give a fuck, but it has been a consistent thing that I do talk about my experiences of Minecraft YouTubers. Like, I fought in Vietnam because it quite literally feels like it. I swear, mass psychosis, and I don't, I'm not one to use terms liberally like that, but genuinely mass psychosis. Like, looking back, it's like Jesus. And not, can I say safely a lot of these creators did encourage this sort of thing? A little bit, and that's okay. You can, as a creator, you can sit back and maybe realize, oh, maybe I did encourage some weird shit, because a lot of you did. And I'm saying this as someone who enjoyed you kind of did, low-key, especially when it came to like groups of the way it, okay, because if you were from the outside of like Minecraft YouTubers, Minecraft streamers and shit, and you didn't get involved in anything like that, hey, that's a blessing. Hail Mary. Like, you have consider yourself to have probably missed like a nuclear bomb. Like, someone had the finger on the button and they completely skipped you and then instead went to me. That's how lucky you are, because it was crazy. I know some people were like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are there so many people? To put into perspective how big this was, at one point there was a stream. This child, I'll say Tommy in it, he could have been probably 16. I don't know how old he was. He's younger than me. He's like a year younger than me. I don't know how old he was. There's a huge stream that was happening. He had 500,000 viewers. That was way more than anything that has ever happened on that platform. And it was a Minecraft stream that had lore in it. 500,000. I need you to sit back. That's 500,000. That's almost 1 million. That's almost there. That is crazy. I remember looking at that, clicking off of the stream. Yes, I was sad. Okay? I was sad. And I'm getting chills thinking about that shit because it was crazy. Like, at the time, seeing stuff like that was so fun because it's escapism. That's what it was. Straight up escapism. So I was sad for the British men playing on fucking Minecraft, bro. I was fucking sad for that, duh. So yeah, it was a mass, like, hallucination. I don't know what it was. And again, I'm gonna admit, it was peak. Like, at the time, it was so peak. You have to admit, when there's a mass group of people who are so adamant about a certain thing, you gotta sit back and be like, am I missing something? And truth be told, really weren't. But at the time, there was some good shit happening. And I will say this, while there was some crazy shit that went on with all of that, the fan culture that birthed from it, I think, was an accumulation of, one, the pandemic, obviously, two, literally everyone was children. Everyone on there was children, including me. Everyone was a child. The only people who were like grown as fuck were some of the creators, and let's not get it out, that turned out. It really, I think also, like, a lot of people kind of chop it up as like, oh, K-pop kind of moves similar. K-pop fan culture in itself is very different from like the socialism, parasocialism that occurs with Twitch streamers and YouTubers and all that shit. You'd be watching this and be like, oh my god, like I understand everything you're saying, like blah 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 blah. I think Vanilla Mace is a really good example of this too, in terms of creators and like new people coming up. Love her. She's amazing. It's easier for me now because I've been so deep into fan stuff where I can be like, hey, I can consume this woman's content. At the end of the day, I don't know her. I don't know her, and I'm gonna be real, I probably don't want to be her friend, and that's okay. But that's hard for people to discern sometimes. Like I now it's easier for me because I'm 22 and I'm like, I have taxes. I have taxes to kind of worry about, It's easier when you don't have a job and your only concern is like passing a grade, you know what I mean? So there is a discrepancy with like the age and also levels of how busy you are, how not you are. And maybe I'm wrong because, the way things are moving now, a lot of people do have jobs and they do defer to this because of escapism. Again, it always goes back to escapism. Parasocialism and escapism, they walk hand in hand. I feel it makes the most sense. Yes, you want to crawl into this person's skin because you hate yours. That's how it works. And on to that point, there are so many people of like shifting and DRs. I have talked about this ad nauseum to people who will listen. My coworkers, my poor coworkers, love them to death. If they ever end up seeing this, hello. Love y'all. They did have to hear me talk about shifting and DRs because I am utterly fascinated by them. If you don't know what that is, it's shifting is kind of going into like a meditative state, almost like lucid dreaming. This is my explanation of it. This is how I learned it. I could be wrong. Shifting community, much love. I have nothing but curiosity and respect from you. But it's when people literally like kind of go under the state and shift from their reality, this current reality, to their desired reality. 9 times out of 10 that could be something fictional. It could involve like a character from a TV show, a movie. I think most popular are like Harry Potter, Marvel, the MCU. And they'll go and they create, there's also things called scripting where they write out like their life and how they want things to go, and it's very important that you stick to it or else it gets like there's so many rules. It is so strict. It is so fun to learn about. It's so interesting. And there's that. And then desired realities are pretty much the same thing, I think. But I think desired realities vary in the term of like, if I want to be a streamer, let's say my DR, this is okay, because I get TikTok accounts about this. I'm probably going to get them now because I'm talking into my fucking phone. It has a microphone. I get TikTok accounts that are created by these people. They make edits, they make slideshows, and they use like Photoshop and all this shit to script their DR. And it's literally them being like, my DR of me being a Twitch streamer and having a romance story with like Valkyrie. Which, if I was Valkyrie and I saw that, I'd be like, what? Hey, what the fuck is going on? I don't know you. That's the flip side of it, of where it's like, ooh. If this person saw that, they'd be a little perturbed, I fear. But it's so interesting to me. Like, I don't want to try it, but it would be so fun to just dip my toe in and be like, what is going on here? But again, I am susceptible to mental illness, so I'm, maybe I'm fine just being an outsider and being curious, kind of looking in, from the outside. Which, again, that is the thing I've also read, is a lot of people end up getting like psychosis, from doing that, because it quite literally is like putting yourself into a different realm. It's like maladaptive daydreaming. That's been a thing that has been trending on TikTok for some reason. A lot of people forget the mal part means bad in front of it. You do it too much, you can some things can happen, so just be careful and cautious, guys. daydream to your heart's content, but be weary. But it's so interesting. Stuff like that, I love it. I love that about fan culture. It's a little scary. I know a lot of people are like, what? It doesn't really do harm. I guess when you start posting about it on social media, people could probably get the wrong idea, you know, like, oh, this is, okay. Especially if it's about real people. That's another thing. When it's real people, that's when lines start to blur, and that's where the parasocialism and shit comes from. With fictional characters, who really cares? I could not give less of a fuck. You want to fuck Loki, bro? Go ahead. You want to spend 10 years in your DR with him? Please go ahead. I want to hear about every single detail. That's how, you know, fun that is to me. Because it's like, bro, you're just playing, like, you're just writing a fanfic in your mind to live out. That's fun. Just be safe, but that's fun. When you start doing the real people thing, that's where it kind of, it gets a little, okay. I'm a little concerned, because you're talking about Jungkook from BTS like he really did save your life from a mob boss. Oh, you're talking about him like you're gonna show up at his apartment because you've been married for 20 years. Mama, that's not okay. That's not okay. You know, do people take it that far? I don't think so. But, you know, people are different. Mental health is different. I don't know. That's where it gets a little scary. But other than that, it's so fun to see it. Like, oh my god. You know the trio of them triplets? I have an oomph who went to high school with them. If you see this, I'm not going to say your name, but if you see this, sorry for outing that. But that's a fun fact that I have to share it every now and then when I see them. I got a TikTok of someone wanting to be in a DR with them, and it was like edits. I swear to God, it was so interesting. And I got another one. It was so weird. Sometimes it gets a little scary where it's like they want to be the YouTuber that they're in their DR. So like they, instead of wanting to be with Valkyrie, they'll be Valkyrie. And that's where it's like, oh, all right, yeah, that's, I don't know how Valkyrie feels about that, but I don't know why Valkyrie is the default for this, but I love her, so, you know, it works, I guess. and I'm not, you know, and again, this doesn't come from like judging. Again, I'm going to say this very plainly. I love it. Like, I'm admiring it. Like, it's the same for me with like furries and like therians. Like, I spent probably 30 minutes on TikTok looking at therian tutorials because I was like, this is so interesting. Like, it is so, I'm obsessed. If there's a therian con, someone please invite me. Like, I oh my god, like, that would be so cool to just go and talk to these people and like show me your tricks, like, and your mask and like, and the furries and stuff, because like, I'll be honest, when I first found out about like the furries and all of that, I was a little put off, as most people are, because like, oh, but then, you know, you start seeing more people talk about them and like hearing them talk about themselves. I'm like, wait, like, this is crazy. This is an art. You're spending so much money to either make these things, to buy them, you know, it's a passion. It's so fun. And like, I don't have anything like that, so I'm gonna look at you and go, that's fucking sick, bro. Like, that's sick. You put that tail on and you go shimmy. Yeah, go put that tail on and go shimmy at the Hilton. Yes. Like, that's fun. Ugh. And the therians are new. The therians I've never heard of. They could have been around forever. But I ended up on like Therian Reddit. If you don't know what therians are, it's like mostly consists of kids. There could be adults who do it, I don't know, but when I've seen it's mainly children in like 13 to like 15 range, you know, who have like tails and masks, and they train themselves to just be so agile, like they're foxes or cats. I don't know. Maybe Therian is the specific thing that they're trying to emulate. I'm not sure 100%. I'm still new to this. Okay, I'm still new to this, but it is fascinating to watch them and to see how they train. And I'm like, bro, what? How are you doing that? If I try that, I'm dying. Like, it's crazy. It's so, and they'll post these videos of like them slow-mo jumping fucking 10 feet in the air, landing gracefully on their hands. and it's in the middle of this beautiful field. It's like, wow. Wow. Sorry, that's completely separate from fan culture, but it goes to show, like, I'm not a judgy girl, okay? I have had my fair share of weird. I get it. I don't even think it's weird. I think it's awesome, you know? If you have a weird thing, rest assured I'm in your corner. As long as you're not hurting anyone or yourself. Be safe, guys. Be safe. Fangirl to your heart's content. Be that furry. You know, let your freak flags fly, mama. So, but yeah. I love fan culture. I think well, let's get into, like, the intricacies of it, because that's the fangirl side, you know, of, like, that's so fun, like, oh my god, this serotonin rush I'm getting from, like, this picture of a man smiling, you know. It is infectious. It does feel really like whoa, you know. It's a rush. It is a drug like no other. On the opposite end of the spectrum, though, like, if I were to sit back and think, like, if people started doing this with me, if I was scrolling on, like, TikTok and I got an edit of some, like, shifting to be blah blah blah, shifting to be Ellie Kimmy, I'd say, oh, I mean, firstly, maybe I'd be honored. I think I'd be honored. I might even follow them and be like, yes, keep it up. Like, correct them on, like, details of my life. Like, yeah, just hey, one minor thing, just this change that, you know. I'd probably be like, okay, one is fine. The first one I'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm getting it. And then maybe, like, an hour would go by and be like, I'm a little nervous about this. I'm a little nervous about this because you know, I don't know. That's just a little freaky, isn't it? Like, guys, think about it. Like, it's fun. You know, there's no harm in the being a fan of someone, wanting to get to know them, I guess, because that comes with it. Like, the parasocialism actors, they kind of play into that just a little. But again, they're actors. You know, we are... whatever image we see of an actor is quite literally not them. Like, whatever we're seeing of them is fake. That is from the pages of someone else's handwriting. So, and I did steal that from Actually. He said that in a stream last night that I caught the last 30 minutes of. Shout out. Yeah, but if and I know he has some crazy, not to start talking about random ass people, the sphere of YouTubers who have to deal with weird people, you know what I mean, and who have been for years, could probably have way more to say about it than I could. So I'm really thinking hypotheticals here. I think a lot of people would love the attention. So many people would eat it up, especially now. So many people are trying to blow up and trying to, like, oh, I want to be on a red carpet and I want to kiss Pedro Pascal and, oh, Nelly. Hi, girl. I'm working. I don't know. Like, if I were to think about it, because one time I posted this TikTok during quarantine and it was me finding out that Pierce the Veil are Mexican, or, like, the lead singer is Mexican. I don't know. I'm assuming all of them were. I really don't remember, because I was never really heavy into Pierce the Veil. Here's my thing, and I said this the whole time. I said I wasn't super big into Pierce the Veil, like, but I found out they're Mexican, so I posted it. I said, oh my god, this is me just finding out Pierce the Veil are Mexican. Fuck yeah, because I am also Mexican. Anyway, blew up, got 2 million views. I lasted probably maybe 2 days with that up, and I deleted my account. Because people were being mean, bro. And when I say being mean, it's not like they were calling me, well, they were calling me names. They were literally calling me stupid. And when I clarified, I was like, guys, my mother is quite literally Mexican. Like, this wasn't me being dumb. People were quite being like, his name is Nick Fuentes. What the fuck did you say? I'm like, bro, I don't know them like that. I'm not a fan. Okay? I knew one song in middle school. I was heavy into the White Boys. I'm sorry, okay? I fell for the White Boys with the swoop cut. I didn't fall for Nick Fuentes like that, and Lord forgive me, you know what I mean? I did my Hail Marys, I repented. Christ. But that was like a taste for me. That was enough, and I said, ooh. I said, y'all are fucking mean. Shit. God damn. Y'all are mean. Like, oof. And that was me in high school. I was like 17. And to think that, like, these other YouTubers who were my age, like Tommy Innit, who was younger than me, was dealing with way worse. Like, I had people call me stupid. Okay? He had people, like, sexualizing him at the age of 14. Like, that is two different spectrums. But, again, when I say that was a taste of, like, in the rush of attention, I hated it. Did not like it. And I think now I'd be way better at being like, hey, cut that shit out. I'm not doing that, you know. It takes nothing for me to turn comments off and not give a fuck. Because I do indeed have a job. You know, I'm not... but that was crazy. That was like a crazy taste. And even then it was like, wow. So I do think if people started like the fan culture, parasocial stuff, I'd make a lot of people angry. I would probably have a lot of fan accounts who would have me in their DNI list. Do people even do that anymore? Do you guys know about that? Have the DNIs and like the cards. I did have a card. I will say, Ludwig might have been on my DNI list. Ludwig and his associates might have been on my DNI list at one point. Now I really, you know, looking back, I'm like, you know, warranted. The behaviors back then of the children involved, not fun. Not fun, you know, which I think did piss a lot of people off, you know, with the Minecraft YouTubers and all that shit, where it's like these adults who actually stood up for themselves talked to the children like they were children, because they are children, and the children didn't like that. And then you'd have threads being like, here's why you should unstan Ludwig. Here's why we need to cancel who the fuck? Here's why we need to cancel Prezzo. Although I don't think Prezzo ever did anything. Shout out to Prezzo. Cool guy. I don't think Prezzo was ever on my DNI list. Ugh. I don't really know, because I think I blacked out. Like, I genuinely did black out, and that's what I think 99% of, like, fangirls back then did. They would log on, and it would be, like, Severance, and the second their little fingers stop typing, or they click, like, the X on the Twitter tab, you know, they're back. And they're like, oh, I'm gonna go eat lunch. And also, I do think that, like, the Twitter is the craziest breeding ground for so many different groups. I don't know what happened. For me, it was like, okay, it went from One Direction to K-pop pretty sporadically. Or no, it was One Direction, and then I started following other people who had different interests, and then it became like musicals and Star Wars, and then it came K-pop, and then I had been in K-pop for so long, and then COVID happens, and then it's Minecraft YouTubers, and it's like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? It was such a completely... but then you go to Tumblr, and I was on Tumblr too. Tumblr was like... I think of old Tumblr with a hand to my heart. When I think of old Tumblr, I picture me on the porch of a ranch, of a log cabin home, and I'm sighing wistfully as I see my cowboy lover named Tumblr riding to the sunset because he's being hunted by the law for protecting his family. You know, that's to me what old Tumblr is, because that's what it feels like to remember it. My experience with it was positive. I'm really sorry for the amount of people who had to deal with like the eating disorder. I didn't really see that. Thank God. I found that in other ways. But, you know, I didn't... On Tumblr, it was really curated for me. Like, that was curated for my experience. You know, I had the Doctor Who, Supernatural, Super Who Lock. Where my Super Who Lock girls at? That was me. The Walking Dead, heavy on Harry Potter, and I love like the fan art. I loved the fan fictions. Like I was head first into that, and it was such a fun, like, I never made friends on Tumblr because it was really me just like reblogging and like building up, you know, my interests. It felt like Pinterest to me. That's what it felt like. The way Pinterest is exactly how I treated Tumblr. I was like, oh my God, I would scroll on it during class and just like reblog like. I don't think I ever reblogged and was like replying to people, you know, all that kind of stuff. I might have had one friend, and that was a friend I made on Vine when I was like 10. And we just followed each other everywhere. And we're still friends. We're friends on Instagram to this day. Love. Tumblr, that's just a breed. Twitter is like, whoa. Like, whoa. Because the amount of, like, mass hysteria that happens once... It was insane, man. Even now, like, Twitter is just, like, a cesspool. I don't even know why I'm on it. I think it's just, again, like, seeing the interest thing. Like, I love getting the stimulation of opening an app, and it's like, boom, Doctor Who, boom, a musical, boom, David Cornsweat, boom, Superman, boom, Gelfie fan art. Whoa! Like, it's beautiful. It's such a beautiful concept of, like, yes, this is curated to you. Here, like, it's on a silver platter, just take it. And I think that's what that appeal is, honestly, because if you know, if it was less of the scary, you know, if less people got on every day and started like calling you slurs, that would be so fun. That would be really fun, but it's not, and it never has been. Maybe back then, maybe 5-10 years ago, Twitter was really like the shit. It was. You had people on there were celebrities on there talking to fans every day, giving them their phone numbers. Hey, hit me up. Like that's how serious it was, and that's fun. That's awesome to be on that like other end of the spectrum. If I were to think of people just DMing me randomly and being like, I know where you live, yeah, I'd have to get on some crazy Prozac. I would have to get on some crazy medication, because you guys, I would be tweaking on a daily. I'll listen to creators talk about this and be like, oh, I'm used to it. I've had a stalker for like 10 years. I'm so used to that. Hey, that's not normal. But again, it's normal to them because they've been doing this so long. And I wonder if it feels like a trap sometimes, in a sense of like, they've been doing this so long, their income is handled through that. I wonder if it's a sense of like being held prisoner in something you've created, you know, that the scariness of like foregoing this and losing that security. I wonder if that's the reason a lot of people don't quit YouTube or streaming or whatever, because it is a sense of security. It's like, oh, I rely on these people to give me that financial security, and financial security right now is really important. And for some people, it could not be financial security. It could literally just be like emotional, you know, like, oh, these people care about me. I don't have anyone else like do that in my personal life. In a way, that becomes like a two-way parasocialism, you know, like I'm relying on you to feed me this energy, because I don't receive that in real life. That's where that becomes dangerous, because then you are having expectations of your audience that can become negative and that they will most certainly feel, because audiences pick up on everything. They will feel that. 1000% they can feel that if you're just using them for that gratification. And then that's where tensions happen, and then that's where people start freaking out, and you know, that can lead to really serious shit. But it's like, hey, if you don't set boundaries with yourself and with these people, that can happen. So that is such an interesting thing. I wonder if a lot of creators deal with that, feeling that kind of trapped, because that would be horrified if something like that had happened to me, like someone was obsessing over me that much where they had to like stalk me, send me threats, whatever. And this happens with celebrities too, so it doesn't, you know, the spectrum of that doesn't change. And people who stream now and content create are seen as celebrities. Sorry, I don't know what her deal is right now. She's obsessed with me. Like Kai Cenat, you know, these people have become celebrities. They have ascended the rung so far up. It's really interesting to watch happen. But I can tell they're not taken as seriously, which is also just as interesting. Like to see Kai Cenat, and I'm gonna maybe kind of branch off here a little bit, because it does feel at times a little dehumanizing to watch him being invited to big events or being offered sponsorships of big things. Again, a blessing in itself, and that's incredible. It feels, though, I mean, it is an attempt of like, oh, come out and promote this for us, because you receive audiences that are far exceeding ours, because streaming is you know, really getting up there in terms of like new forms of entertainment. Same with YouTube. I think streaming might be outweighing that a little bit more. It draws audiences more than an award show would, and it's so fascinating. So they invite streamers like Kai Cenat out to like the Grammys, the BET Awards, you know, the AMAs, you know, places like that. It feels a bit performative, not on his part, but by the people who invite him. And that's where I start to feel like, okay, there is a really big, like, these people are very well-known celebrities. Children watch these people. These people are celebrities to their children. These celebrities know them. You know what I mean? Like, this is a big thing. It still feels like there's a level of not getting that respect, though. And it's a bit daunting to watch. It's so interesting. That could just be how I feel personally. I don't know if anyone else has seen that. It just feels a little strange. It feels like, I don't know, like the funny kid in the class, you know what I mean? It's weird. I wonder when that's gonna break. Will it take, because there's a lot of YouTubers who would try to branch off into movies. I think a lot of the Smosh cast are good examples of that. Not that any of them aren't talented, but once you become that internet personality, it's hard to branch into these different categories, especially when it comes to maybe theater or movies, TV shows. Like, it's hard to really get that, because a lot of people will see your personality online and go, oh, you're not really cut out for like the serious shit. So I don't know. I wonder if a lot of people feel that way, if that. It's so interesting, this rise of like the social media, streaming, YouTube, all of that. It's so fascinating, and it's so new. It is so new. People forget. Nelly just walked on my keyboard. But again, it feels very like they don't take these people seriously, despite the level of attention and fame that they are getting. It feels very like, whoa, like you actually are this popular kind of thing. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. Maybe that's just my biases, because I don't consume content by people like that very much. You know, again, my extent of watching streamers now is like people limited to like 200 viewers a stream, which is still big. That's still big. That's a lot of people, but it there's a different vibe to it. where it feels more, if anything, that would make it easier for a parasocial relationship to happen. And with these people I watch, I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I know it has. If anything, having a smaller audience could increase a likelihood of a parasocial relationship, because then you'd feel like you know this person. You know, there's been multiple times where I would be watching streams and they'd mention my name or vice versa, whatever, and it's like, I mean, for me, I don't care. You know, for me now, I'm like, hey man, like, sure. You know, that kind of thing. I really couldn't care less, because I don't want to know these people. They don't want to know me. I just watch the streams and say hi. You know what I mean? But that's me. During, like, the Minecraft YouTubers shit, it's so interesting. I wish I could go into, like, why the parasocialism happened, because that's a massive audience. That is a massive audience. Same with Speed, same with Kai. And maybe their parasocialism is a little bit different from how people think. But it's, at the end of the day, it's still people thinking, I know this person. There's so many levels to this. And it's kind of making my head hurt thinking about it for this long. I've been talking about this for almost an hour now. It is so fascinating. Like, the amount of levels, it is such a nuanced kind of thing. A lot of people, maybe especially creators, can be like, no, it fucking sucks and it's horrible, and they would have very strong opinions about it. And then you'd have another spectrum of people who are going to be like, you know, on the fan side, and kind of, they're going to also have the hard opinion of, oh, it doesn't even, who gives a fuck, like, it's fine. There's so many different takes on it of how it is harmful. I think at the end of the day, it is a harmful thing. Parasocialism is harmful, because you are growing an attachment to someone who doesn't know you. That's scary. And that can have some pretty negative effects, both on you and the person. So, you know, I don't know. I just wanted to come on here and talk about this, because it is an interesting concept. It is a lot of things that kind of accumulate into one. Oh, another interesting thing that happens with the parasocialism, because it can also be from adoration. I do think it also can be with hate or criticism. And I say both because I think criticism and hate are two separate things, but sometimes people use criticism to defend their hate of another person. I'm of the opinion that no one is exempt from criticism. If you have done something and people want to criticize you for it, they have their full right to, especially whether you have a platform or not, you know what I mean? Like, if you're putting yourself out there and you do something, you slip up, you say something wrong, you know, it's up to you to take the accountability for it. And it can also be up to your audience. Now, I say audience because I really do think the people you are reaching out to, if they are the ones who are like, hey, that's not cool, count that as a blessing. There are so many people who have audiences who don't do that. They just let shit slide. You need people to hold you accountable for what you say and what you do, especially on social media. That being said, I think sometimes it goes too far to where people outside of that audience feel the need to comment on everything a person does. And it becomes so intense to the point of expecting, and that's where the parasocialism of hate and all of that kind of starts to coincide, because I'm of the opinion that I will not be depending on, like, these YouTubers, these streamers, for opinions on X, Y, and Z. You know, at the end of the day, this is for entertainment. You're entertaining me. I'm going to consume this, all of that, you know. I'm not it, and again, you have a platform, use it the best you can. It's another nuanced thing where, like, if you're gonna have this platform, you're gonna have 1 million badillion followers, and there are real world events going on. I do believe it is in your right and especially if you have people who are in your audience who are experiencing that, to speak on it. I think there is quite literally no harm in doing that, because you are doing good. You are doing good by raising awareness, creating a GoFundMe, like literally anything to be like, or sharing charities, nonprofits, anything like that to boost the awareness of certain things is amazing. Do that. The issue comes when you have people expecting it automatically. You know what I mean? And again, I'm kind of like, I am, what's the word? Kind of contradicting myself, but that's where it comes from. Because if you know what I'm talking about, like there is a certain level of, why are you depending on this person? What I'm trying to say is your expectations should not be that high for these people at the end of the day, because that's where that parasocialism comes from. When you put your expectations that high for these people, you're going to be let down, because they're only human, and a lot of humans don't give a fuck, and a lot of humans suck and a lot of them have platforms, and that happens. Now, here's this thing. If you have the platform and you have made it clear of yourself that you are this sort of warrior of championing for the less fortunate, you know, those who might not be as privileged as you, and you neglect to acknowledge, you know, the stuff they are going through, that's on you. That is 100% fully you, because you have put that out there as your face. That is your face to the world. I am this champion of people's rights. So therefore people expect you to defend them. You know what I mean? Which I think everyone should be doing. I say again, you know, I think everyone, at the end of the day, you have a duty of care to love thy neighbor, and to care. If anyone can take away anything from being human, it is to care and to be kind. It's really all that you need to do. I think being online, though, has made it really hard for a lot of people to do that. So, you know, it's a complicated thing. I think if you put these parasocial ideas onto this one person, you're going to be let down. You're going to be let down, because at the end of the day, you're projecting onto these people. They don't really care about you that much. So, yeah, I don't know, guys. Parasocialism. Parasocialism. This is fun topic. I just talked about this for an hour. I didn't realize how passionate I was about this. I have more topics. I think, expect the next one to be fun. Definitely just going to be me ranting about whatever. I have a notes app now where I've just been writing down. What did we talk about? Furries, therians, shifting, fangirls, One Direction. Just me. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I still don't know how to end these. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go. Hey, bye.